going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on these two very beautiful Reate made knives, the Reate K2s. So these two fabulous fellas are in from the Black Widow passaround group, and I've had them for I think between 2 and 3 weeks, but I think I have a good idea of what I want to talk about and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, these are from the Black Widow passaround group, and I believe I went over how they became integrated in the group and stuff like that in my unboxing, but I'll go over it real quick. So basically, from what I can understand, back during Blade Show, like the main Blade Show, not Blade Show West, in June, I think, early June, Kevin left EDC, and Kyle, D2M Knives and Gear, and Justin, the knife dude. Justin is kind of the creator and the runner, or he like runs the Black Widow passaround group. But I believe those three were together. And KC Knives Fast might have been there too, but I forget. But I know that there was a group of them there, and they were walking around Blade Show just having a good time, and they ran into Travis, who is the owner, and he runs the KnifeJoker, which is a store in, I believe, California. And he also has a website where he sells knives. And he has some exclusives. The most recent one that I believe is actually one that I bought. It was the Spyderco Manix 2 Lightweight, the Mystic Manix. And that came out earlier this year at some point. I think it was like 20 CV. It was like one of the sprint runs or exclusives. I ended up getting rid of that, but I bought it from him. And I know that he has some other exclusives, these two being one of them. So I have these two here, and yeah, I think Justin, they were just talking to him, and I think he just gave them these two for the passaround group, which I think is really cool. Just that's another, goes to show how awesome this knife community is, and just, I just think it's really, really cool. So I'm glad Travis was really generous to, put these into the group, and I'm glad that happened. So I'm gonna do, I don't think I've ever reviewed two knives before at once, but I figured there's no sense of splitting these up into separate reviews, because they're the same knives, or they're the same knife basically, just different clothes kind of. So I'm gonna try to do both of them. But jumping right into materials, these are both titanium builds, but we'll start with this one. This is just a normal plain tie, I believe, according to the box. This is plain titanium with a dark stone wash. Kind of like a tumbled finish, kind of a worker finish. I really like it. I like when titanium looks like that. It makes it so like if you mark it up a little bit or get a ding on it, it doesn't, you won't notice it as much, which I really like. You have a milled titanium pocket clip. That's definitely not deep carry, but it goes pretty far. You still have a little bit sticking up out of the pocket, but some people like that. Some people don't like having to reach way down in your pocket. Couldn't be me, but there are some people out there. So obviously this is a frame lock. You get a lock bar insert there. Flipper only knife. You have a nice titanium backspacer there that's jimped. The blade is in M390, which is really, really nice. This is the satin finish, and I love Reate satin. There you can see Reate's little logo. And this is a Tanto blade. I believe this is a hollow grind on this part, because it's very, very thin behind the edge. And then you kind of have a compound ground. It's pretty thick, kind of like a chisel tip out here. I don't like Tantos that much. I'm not a huge Tanto fan, but I think that this blade just looks beautiful. And this is definitely a big knife. I believe the blade is 3.75 inches, so it's definitely a full-size, big guy knife. So I think these are a couple of bigger knives I've experienced, because I tend to go towards the smaller to medium style knives, which is kind of, I'm a bigger person, so like I'm 6'4", like I'm a big dude, so you'd think that I would like bigger knives, but no, I kind of like small knives. But for being a bigger knife, which I'll get into Ergos in a little bit, but feels really good. For some milling, the show side scale actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like triangle pockets milled out. I'll try to show you guys. I don't know if you're able to see it in there. Yeah, I'm not catching any of the lighting, but it's up in there. So for being a full-size knife, 2 slabs of titanium, this has a pretty good weight to it. It's definitely, you know, if I were to see this sitting there, I would think that this would be a little heavier than it is. Like, it's not light by any means, but it definitely is lighter than you'd expect. Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything. Yeah, I got the grind. Yeah, it's just, this hull is super, super thin behind the edge. And like I said, this blade is just very, very handsome looking. So that's for that one. And then we jump over here to the all blacked out one. And according to the box, I have to go back to the box because I forget what the technical term is. But this handle is diamond texture titanium. So it has like these milling slots up here. And then you have like this, I don't know, it feels like toolbox. Like if you've ever been around like I can't even think of the brand, but my dad has had like 3 of them. It's like the diamond plated toolbox that you go, like, sits behind the cab. It kind of reminds me of that pattern a little bit, but more on like a, you know, closer tight knit pattern. I don't know, that's just what my brain's kind of telling me. But I really like this one. I just think it looks really, really pretty with how you kind of have it mixed up on both sides. You have the, like I said, like the horizontal, or vertical, excuse me, lines going down, and you have the texture there. Of course, the milled titanium clip. Basically, it's the same exact knife as this, just with different scales. There's the blade on this one. This one is a PVD coating. M390. Again, super, super thin behind the edge with that sort of chisel tip up here, kind of real reinforced. Just, yeah, really, really pretty knives. Skeletonization is the same, so just basically the same knife, just different sort of titanium. Very, very beautiful. Try to get you guys a good shot there. All right, so moving on to action. I'll just go in order again. With the titanium, you have a flipper tab up here that is, honestly, it's kind of a pocket pecker in my opinion. It definitely is a little pointy. I haven't had any issues with it per se, but I could definitely see where this would come into an issue with someone. Got that Dr. Pepper cream soda sugar-free, or zero sugar. I'm so glad Dr. Pepper came out with zero sugar because, side note real quick, Dr. Pepper is the best soda on the planet. If you're disagreeing with me, you're wrong. Joking, of course, but I love Dr. Pepper. It's just so good. I'm really glad they came out with zero sugar because that allows me to drink it. You know, I have one without, you know, I have a regular Dr. Pepper once in a while if I'm letting myself loose, but I try to drink the zero sugar because sugar's bad for you, but that allows me to drink, excuse me, more of them, not more of them, but it allows me to drink them and not feel so like crappy about myself. But definitely glad that they came out with those. So back to knife talk. You have the flipper here, little tall, but you know, I wish there was a little jimping on it because sometimes my finger wants to like slide off there. There is no jimping at all. I would have liked to seen them add a little bit of it, but we'll give it a flip. It's good, guys. Like, it's very snappy. It's just the D10's tuned very, very well. And for Reate, that's kind of a standard thing for them. They produce phenomenal D10s. Just comes right out of there. Try to see. It's hard to fail it. Just, as long as you give it a little bit of pressure. That was even very, very light. Oh, there, I can do it. But it's very hard. Like, you have to concentrate super, you know, well. And that basically failed. But yeah, D10's very, very good. Snaps right out of there. Just a fun, you know. I wish that I had some other way of deploying, like a hole maybe, thumb stud, fuller, something like that. You can middle finger flick, because I like to have more options on my knives. But definitely for a flipper only knife, this is, you know, really, really well done. So closing action, this is on bearings. So you has the frame lock, obviously, and it has good access to the frame lock. I've had no issues with getting my thumb in there. So normally it'll drop to my thumb, the flipper tab will hit it, and it's just a couple shakes down. Or really, if you just want to drop it, shake it once, it'll drop. So it's, you know, not guillotine-y by any means, but it's ridiculously smooth, very glassy, some would say. I got to get past that secondary detent kind of. yeah, so. And I'm sure that, I mean, this is a pass-around knife, so I'm sure if you wanted to take it apart and clean it up, and I'm sure if you put some KPO on there, it'd make it pretty much drop shut. I'm willing to bet that that would work, but this has been passed around to a handful of people, so it's definitely probably a little gunked up in there. But yeah, just really good. Same with the PVD black titanium. Fires right out. This seems to be a little bit smoother than the other one. Like, I really don't have to, so this one hits my nail and it'll stay there. Like, it'll stay right there for some reason. So you gotta shake it a little bit. Just something I noticed within the last couple of days. But this one, you shake, it hits. You don't, I mean, you kind of have to shake it, but it's less resistance. I don't know if the bearings are a little smoother. Maybe this one isn't as gunked up, but just something that I was able to tell by playing with them. This one is just maybe like a hair smoother. But I mean, they both have identical detents. Yeah, you guys can see with that one. It's just kind of, I mean, I really don't have to do anything at all. So this one is definitely smoother. And that's not to say anything bad against this one. It just might need a little tune-up. But I mean, even it this way, with how smooth it is, it's still smoother than a lot of other knives. So action is very, very good. Maybe a knock, like I said, just, you know, if you're not a huge fan of flipper-only knives, it's kind of a downfall. But I mean, for flipper-only knives, as far as they go, this thing is very, very good. I mean, the blade's huge. Not huge, but it's a big blade, full-size blade, so it comes right out of there. So, yeah, action's good. Next up is Ergos. And like I've said a couple times, this is a full-size knife. I believe like 3.75 on the blade. I would guess, you know, over 4 for the handle. You have a little bit of jimping right there. Take a little pop break. You have some jimping back here, which is interesting. I guess to kind of lock your pinky in, but I can get easily a 4-finger grip on here with plenty of knife sticking out. If I had a 5th finger, like a second pinky, I'd still have plenty of room to fit that on there as well. I just, you know, you're located right behind that flipper tab, so you just get a really nice restriction point right there, and you can get locked in there, and you can do, you know, whatever work you need to do with it. It does, where the flipper tab is here, it kind of has like a little bit of a flipper choil, but it's not very big, so I wouldn't really recommend using it if you have big fingers. Like I mean, I have like a large glove size hand, so I could kind of use it if I'm doing like very, very precise cuts and I'm not going to be like jerking it around, because my finger's kind of almost on that blade right there. But if you have real tiny hands, it's nice, probably going to feel like a sword to you, and you could probably wrap your finger around that, you know, and get choked up, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. The diamond texture here adds, I would say, more grip to it than the normal just plain tie, because you have the lines cut in here that you can kind of grip into, and then you have this diamond texturing down there that your fingers kind of get locked into. So I would say if you're choosing between these two, maybe I would say this one has a little bit better grip just because it has, you know, the milling and everything on it. This is just plain tie. But it's not a, like, it's smooth, but it's not like slippery. So this isn't definitely like gonna fall out of your hands or anything like that. But just, you know, I would think that the texture and anything like this, if you're using it in a hard use situation and you're, you know, really torquing down and you're really using it hard, I would think that the milling and the, you know, textures on here would add a little bit more grip than just a plain tie. So take that information as you will. But that's not to say that the plain tie Ergos are bad. Honestly, like, I don't know. I mean, if you're just looking for, I don't know, like this one might be a tad more comfortable, I guess, because you don't have that stuff digging into your hands. If you have really soft baby hands, I guess you could say. I don't know. It's all just really personal preference at the end of the day. I mean, if you just want plain tie, you want the smoothness of it, or if you want the PVD, you know, diamond texture with the lines built in or milled in, a little bit more to grip onto. Like I said, it's all personal preference. So, and I'm not even sure if, I don't know if there's more versions of these or these are the only two. I honestly don't know. I haven't looked into the website that much. I will leave a link to the KnifeJoker down below if you're interested in these. I know, kind of a strange thing to say right in the middle of the video, but it just pops into my head. So there could be other versions of these, but I'm not totally sure. So yeah, at the end of the day, Ergos for both knives are good. You know, a little bit more texture, a little bit more smoothness. So just personal preference, but very, very good for both of them. And that takes me to carry. And carry is decent. I did carry this, I believe, 1.5 days. I'm not a huge fan of the pocket. Like, the pocket clip, I think looks good from an aesthetic standpoint. I think it fits the knife very, very well. It's nice and just, you know, very minimalistic. But I don't like having, you know, it be sticking out. Like, I don't really like having that much knife stick up out of my pocket. I really don't. I like having, you know, discreet, minimalistic pocket clips where, you know, they hide the knife in your pocket. So I wasn't a huge fan of the pocket clip from a use standpoint. I would have much rather had them incorporate something else. And I know that's just the way the knife's designed with that kind of curvature there. So you're gonna have knife sticking up out of your pocket no matter what. But I wish that, you know, they could have definitely, why couldn't they have taken the where the pocket clip screw goes in and move it up to that other screw right above it? And that would have added, you know, I feel like that would have made a huge difference, and you would only have like this much sticking up out of your pocket. I would have rather had that. So, but the pocket clip works very, very well. You know, it just slides in out of your pocket. Like I said, this is a big knife, full-size knife. So you can definitely, at least from my experiences and from, you know, my brain, I can tell it's in my pocket. It's not like a bad thing by any means. You know, I pretty much say in every video, the only thing I carry in my front right pocket is a knife, and then my phone goes down and beside it, so I don't have to, you know, reach down in to pick up change, chapstick, anything like that. It's just my phone. So I didn't have an issue with the flipper tab. But another thing is, if you have to maybe get into your pocket, this jimping here might catch on your hands. It's not like gonna tear your hands up, but it could, you know, if you're in and out of your pocket 10 times a day, it could cause a little bit of a discomfort. So yeah, carry is okay. I feel like it could be done better, just for a few little tweaks. But as far as full-size knives go, you know, it's relatively lightweight. You know, I don't want to say lightweight, but lightweight for what it is, for having 2 slabs of titanium, and having almost a 4-inch blade. Like, there's definitely heavier knives out there in this category. So that was a nice touch, I believe, or I think. And yeah, so, you know, carry's probably my least favorite part of this knife, which is kind of important because, you know, if you get a knife, you want to carry it, and that's a huge aspect of it. So carry's kind of meh for me. So going into my final sort of category that I like to talk about, and that is price point and what I recommend this knife. I believe last time I did look on the website, these go for like $380, something like that, close to $400. And I think that that's a solid deal. I mean, you're getting a very well-built knife. I mean, these things are built like tanks. You're getting a very good action. I mean, a super, super nice blade. I mean, just look at that satin finish there. M390, super thin hollow grind with kind of a nice reinforced chisel tip up there. I mean, a full-size knife. You're getting a lot of knife here. Really good action on the plain tie dark stonewash. And then same with this one. I mean, this one's kind of, I feel like, a little bit more extravagant, a little bit more special, you could say, kind of, just because it has the different millings on it and stuff like that. So I think it's worth it at that price point. Reate is kind of at the top of the OEM world, I guess. At least, I mean, from my opinion, and from what I've seen other people say, like, they're, and that's not to, you know, disregard other OEMs, because I have plenty of knives that are made by, you know, QSP and other, you know, manufacturers, but I'd say Reate's just kind of at the top. So you're getting a very, very well built knife. The detents are snappy. The, you know, closing actions are very, very good. I mean, no blade play. Like I said, these things are just built like absolute tanks. So you're getting a lot of good materials. You're getting a very well-built knife, you know, a well-built or a well put-together detent for sub $400. I think it's worth it. I won't be picking one of these up. I was really glad to get them in because these are two knives that I have been interested in a while, and I just always thought they really looked cool, kind of like little pocket swords. But I don't think that they're knives that I, you know, see myself having in the collection and using and stuff like that. So to me, they're not necessarily worth the money as, you know, someone who wants to, you know, experience other knives and stuff like that. But to someone that really likes them and has the money to spend on it, absolutely, dude, go for it. I think that they're awesome knives, and I would always recommend them. And Travis, from what I can hear, he is a very well, you know, established person. He's very, very generous. He's very nice. So I think he has two really cool exclusives on his hands, and I think that they sell very well. I believe that, you know, he has, actually, something just popped in my head. I believe there is a fat carbon version of this. I think Kevin had one. So I don't know if that's a KnifeJoker exclusive as well. I believe it is if it's a K2. I think that's like the whole K2 line is a KnifeJoker exclusive. Could be wrong, but I don't know. So I hope you guys were able to get a good grasp on these two knives from my rants and raves here. A little bit longer of a review than sometimes I go over 20 minutes, but I have two knives to talk about, so I guess that's justified. But yeah, this is the Reate K2 in the plain titanium dark stonewash. Satin blade, very, very beautiful. And then this is the Reate K2 in the black diamond, the diamond texture titanium in black PVD. So a very, very nice knife. I don't know which one, like if I were a person buying these and choosing between the two, I love an all blacked out knife. They just look very wicked, and just I love an all black out look. But you just cannot beat that satin grind that Reate does. Like, it's just beautiful. So I would have a real tough time, but I think I would maybe lean towards this just by hair, just because of that satin blade. But I'm not buying one, so I don't really have to worry about that. But yeah, so huge shout out to Justin, huge shout out to Travis, the KnifeJoker, for providing these. Huge shout out to Justin for just being an awesome, you know, friend at this point. He does a lot of good work for the Black Widow passaround group, and I just have to applaud you for that, Justin. Thank you, sir. And yeah, that's all I have to say about these guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, you know, always supporting. If you guys haven't checked out my 500 subscriber giveaway, I posted that back on Monday. This will probably be the second video after that, so go check that out on the channel. It's running until December 13th. If you're interested, I'm giving away some pretty cool prize packages for my 500 subscriber. Yeah, so please go check that out if you haven't. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Talk to you guys in the next one.